Greetings, Private Eyes! I have a new episode of the 30-Day Batman Challenge. And these are questions I found off a list from Tumblr, and I thought it might be fun every day for 30 days to answer them with my own personal opinions about Batman. Lindsay, today is day 18, right?
Yes.
Okay, what is today's Batman question?
Who is your least favorite Batman villain?
Now, my favorite Batman villain, as I answered a couple days ago, was the Joker. And yeah, okay, it's kind of an obvious choice, but there's a reason it's an obvious choice. This one took me a little bit of thinking, like, what villain do I really not like? And I suppose some fans would probably answer, like, Tweedledum Tweedledee, but, you know, I've never read a story with those characters in it. I mean, they haven't really appeared since, what, the 50s? No one cares about them. So, you know, I obviously couldn't answer that. And then I thought, well, should I go for, like, D-listers or, like, you know, A-listers? Because, you know, to be honest, I've never been a big fan of the Penguin, even as a kid. I always considered him not a threat. But the thing is, in recent years, I think mid-90s, they made the brilliant move to make him a mob boss, and he definitely works that way. I mean, mob bosses don't have to, you know, get into fisticuffs. They hire people for that. So, yeah, he kind of makes sense for that. So he's really kind of redeemed in the last few years, as far as I'm concerned. And, hey, I know this will probably bother a few people, but I've never been the biggest Riddler fan. I really enjoyed Paul Dini's take, where he sort of became an anti-hero for a while, but the character was never really, you know, excited me. I'm sorry, I know everybody loves him, but he wouldn't even make my top 5 favorite Batman villains. Even if you took Catwoman out, like, let's say she's an anti-hero, so, you know, let's not count her. Yeah, he still would not make the list. But I don't really dislike the character so much. So, that kind of got me into thinking, like, whoa, who do I really dislike? And I started thinking about Maxie Zeus, who, if you're not familiar with him, he hasn't appeared too much lately. He was in the Kevin Smith Cacophony miniseries. But lately he's been kind of MIA, which is fine with me, because he's a terrible villain. He thinks he's Zeus. And he, I guess, robs banks and does criminal shit or something like that. He's very much like King Tut from the 60s Batman show, except he thinks he's Zeus. Which is kind of funny because in this continuity, there is Zeus. So they don't really play around with that. And if he appears a few more times, I wish they would. It's like, there's an actual Zeus in this universe. But, you know, to be honest, when written well, and that doesn't happen often, he can be kind of a funny character, you know, sort of a parody of, you know, the general Batman villains. So I thought a little bit more, and I felt like, yeah, I think I know my least favorite, and that is Hush. I can't stand Hush. I think he's a poor villain. I think he's badly conceived. I can't even remember his motivations, really. They don't really stand out to me. Besides just being jealous of Bruce Wayne. That's it? Well, I guess that's enough for some villains. But, you know, he had money. He had power. He had, you know, he was a wealthy doctor. Yeah, he killed his parents. But, you know, here's the thing. The coolest stuff about Hush came from the Paul Dini storyline, Heart of Hush. Where he delved deeper into backstory and fleshed it out, and had him really, his caper was really sinister in that story. But beforehand, I mean, yeah, Tommy Elliott, like, shows up out of nowhere, out of 70 years of never being mentioned, and he's supposed to have been Bruce Wayne's childhood friend, and then he, you know, shows up in the first issue alongside of Hush, and it's like, ooh, I wonder who Hush could be. And he often, like, hires Batman villains. I mean, first off, this guy comes out of nowhere. He doesn't seem to have any really magnificent powers or abilities or anything like that. And he's able to get the Bat villains to do his bidding. He was able to get Joker to do something. I mean, who the fuck can hire Joker and get him to, like, not kill you? I've never liked the character. I think he's highly overrated. And I can't stand him. And when I see him, when I see him show up and he's acting all badass and the story's treating him like a badass, I go, get the fuck out of my face, Hush. You were a D-list villain at the most. I mean, seriously. Maxie Zeus and that Orca chick character were better than Hush. Anyway, push the button, Lindsay.